All right, good stuff. Let's get into this Monte McNair sound as he sat down with the one and only 30-year-old vet, Jason Ross, who had some questions as far as whether or not the Kings are done making moves.
A couple of final roster spots are left. Are there areas of need that you're looking at, more depth, maybe front court side? And like, what are kind of things you'd like to see addressed?
Yeah, I think for the most part, we're always looking to improve the team, and if opportunities arise, we'll certainly take advantage. I do think at this point we're expecting that this is probably the core of the group that we'll go into training camp with. But yeah, potentially one or two more roster spots. I think we're going to take our time a little bit and see there. Probably be more wing forward, big. We feel pretty good at the guard spot right now. So, we'll look. This is a big part of Summer League and see what our own guys can do. We got scouts scouting the other 29 teams here. Great opportunity for a lot of these, young players who are not even on a roster potentially to showcase themselves. And, our group's been watching the G League and International. So a lot of different ways that we can go, but, we'll take our time. We'll see what we got there. And, as we head into training camp, we'll fill those last couple spots. But, I think we're happy with the group as is. Again, if something comes up, we'll certainly look at it. But I think right now this is the bulk of the group we'll have, and a couple last spots that we'll fill right before training camp.
I'm thinking day one of training camp, you clear the court and let all the guards go out there. I mean, that competition, there's some minutes up for grabs, but there's a lot of guys that can play. I'd like to see how that goes.
Yeah, well, I think Keegan mentioned it last year, but guarding De'Aaron all summer is pretty good. Trial by fire, and we have a lot of guys. I think that they're going to go at each other, over the summer, and as we get into training camp, and obviously when Devin comes back, he'll add to that mix, and I mean that is one competitive, tough guy as well. But I think for De'Aaron too, like him going against Keon and Colby and some of these guys that can Keegan that can throw different looks at him. Malik and all the moves he has. So it's a good group. They push each other. We hope they'd make each other better, which they've done, and then we can go take it out on the other 14 teams in the West.
I want to be very careful with how I start this.
Okay.
And great job by Jason Ross, as always. And we know how Monte McNair gets down. You got to read between the lines. But I want to be careful in how I address this. But really, what I want to say is, do you believe him? That's how I want to find a better way to say it like that. But
there's no better way of putting it.
Do you believe him that this, whatever you call the quote unquote core?
Yeah.
To me, that sounds like no Dorian Finney-Smith. That sounds like no Cam Johnson.
Yeah,
because obviously that sounds like no Kuzma,
right?
No Jeremy Grant, no Markkanen.
Right.
But it also sounds like no Cam Johnson, no Dorian Finney-Smith.
I would think so, unless Monte's just already being disrespectful and saying no, those guys are just pieces,
right?
Which I can't imagine. And he also did kind of hedge his bet there even then and said, not saying we're not going to make moves. We'll do our due diligence, but at the moment, the plan is, unless something pops up, that this is the core that we're going to take in. Do I believe him? I would say yes. I'll say yes only because beforehand he was very upfront. Like, I think we can Monte hasn't necessarily lied to us about their intentions in the past. I think after the original Bean team season, he was talking about continuity. He was talking about internal development, and that's other ways of saying, we're not really going out and making a splash move this offseason. We're going to see how much better the players that we already have get. That was not what he said going into this offseason. Going into this offseason, he was very clear in saying, not saying internal development and in saying we need to get talent and, hey, we might need to shake up this roster a bit. And I think now that the moves have been done and he's now saying this, I believe him only because he has, in terms of this specific area of transactions, he has been very honest so far about it. I would think that as is currently constructed, they have, we talked about it all offseason so far. They've kicked the tires on every deal. They know how every single team out there values whatever piece the Kings are interested in. I think Monte has heard it all. I think he's done all the evaluations. He's done all the cross-referencing, all of it. And I think that they're good. I think as currently constructed, every deal that the Kings have out there or have talked about, they're not in favor of going through. And so unless something changes in a team's willingness to maybe move off of another piece or not be so aggressive looking for a pick or something like that, unless something like that changes, I'm going to believe him. I do think that he's telling the truth because he has been pretty honest so far about the direction in which he wants to go in terms of talent acquisition. So I believe him, but I definitely am not going to bash anybody who says, yeah, Monte, I just don't believe you. I just don't believe that this is really, that you're not going to be on the phones and everything because you've been so active. So,
but again, it sounds like I'm not going to overpay. That's what it sounds like to me.
Exactly.
I want to make another move, but I'm not going to overpay for anything. So then when we ask the question whether or not you believe him, then it becomes, well, are you okay with it? Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of people aren't going to be okay with it. Yeah. You know, we talk to different Sacramento Kings media members around, and they say it's just not a balanced enough. It's not a balanced enough roster, right? I mean, you went out, you got rid of a guard, but you added a guard, then you got rid of a guard, then you added another guard, but one of the guards is injured, and you still need some length when it comes to that 4 position. You're just thin. Yeah, DeMar DeRozan can play 4, but can I play the piano? Yes. Can I? Should you fire me up for your wedding? No, but I can mess around on some keys. I can play the first couple keys to 4 at least. You know, I got you there. So I mean, you know, when we have somebody on the text line, we'll get into it. 45 wins is not disrespectful because of the current roster. So I don't really know what to make of it, Chris. Yeah. I mean, I as much as I do love the DeMar DeRozan addition, and I think it's being slept on nationally, this team needs another piece. Yeah. And it might not get it. Yeah. It might not get it before the season starts. But I'm just so tired of the same cycle, Chris. We're seeing now Jeremy Grant 2 first-rounders. It's the same cycle. Okay, we're going to wait for prices to change. The prices are not changing. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to sit here and say, we'll see what happens at the trade deadline, because we've already seen, we know what's going to happen. Oh my goodness. Are they buyers? Are they sellers? As far as the other teams are concerned, the Wizards, whoever. Price tag goes up again, and Monte McNair, and not just Monte McNair, other teams too, they don't want to pay it. Or you have the Knicks, who you could say that they maybe overpaid a little bit for OG Anunoby, and they overpaid for Mikal Bridges. Mm-hmm. That's a team that says, we don't care. Right. Screw it. We're going to overpay all the other teams that don't want to. That's why nothing has happened. Right. Nothing has happened. As far the only trade, the biggest trades, you had the DeJounte Murray situation, mm-hmm. which honestly was probably the most surprising thing. Yeah. Surprising deal. Yeah. Also, as far as what the Pelicans made out on that deal, in my opinion, for sure, based on what they had to give up. But besides that, and DeMar DeRozan, again, he's older, and people don't know, you know, where they would put him in the top echelon. I think he's number 49 when it comes to ranked players. But all these names that we've thrown into the free agency or the trade washing machine have just been cycling and cycling and cycling, and they haven't moved. No. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to move. And now you have the Lakers. They're in on Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson. Mm-hmm. They're the new hot tickets. So their price tag is going to go up. It's just the same thing, Chris. I feel like I'm losing it here.
You sound like you're on the verge of
It's losing. Just the same thing.
For what it's worth, I can play Snap Your Fingers on piano. There
you go.
It's about as simple as you can get.
You know, well, John, he had it.
He had it. It's so good. To your actual basketball point. Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely hear 100% what you're saying. Like, there's no reason to think that anything is going to change, because we've known the market is the market, and it hasn't adjusted really for the past, to your point, like since you could argue last offseason, because nobody did anything at the trade deadline. And you saw the deal that got done with Mikal Bridges. That was a crazy trade. I don't think anybody else would be willing to do. And so, I mean, besides that, you have the weird Caruso-Giddey trade, which has a lot of layers into it. But that also isn't your normal trade, because Josh Giddey had the awkward, weird season that he just had, and the Bulls had messed up the Caruso thing. And so, that's even not a typical value for value deal. And then, you have these sign-in trades, which aren't really a good sign of like, hey, okay, where is the trade value of these guys? Because there is a bit of, hey, we're doing, like, it's just already happening. So it's not even necessarily like a, hey, let's work a trade out. It is, hey, this signing is going to happen. Let's try and make the trade aspect work so that signing does work, if that makes sense. I just think that, yeah, we're not really going to get any of these big moves, to your point, until somebody's willing to give up the farm. I don't think Utah is going to shake on the Lauri Markkanen value. No. It seems like, if anything, they're more firm than ever that they want the farm for Lauri Markkanen. I don't think that's changing anytime soon. Zach LaVine, we don't talk about Zach LaVine because the only reports out now are that nobody, literally not a single human, wants Zach LaVine on their basketball team. And so, and that contract more specifically on their basketball team, and Nikola Vucevic, I can't see anything happening until the regular season, when we start to see situations change. Honestly, that's the only thing, is if a team gets more desperate, whether it be the Lakers, hey, Anthony Davis goes out, well, we can't waste these couple of years of LeBron's career. Now we have to go make a Jeremy Grant move and forget all the things that we are afraid to get rid of. Or if a situation like Utah is like, hey, we really want Cooper Flagg, maybe we should be a little bit more willing to trade Lauri Markkanen. That's the only way I could see it happening. And that's not happening until actual games are played and these teams actually feel different about the situations that they thought they were in. And that puts us at no deals being made for a couple months. And so I can definitely understand the frustration, and I'm right there with you. I think that this team still does need to make a couple more moves. I know they have 2 roster spots open. I don't think that that'll be anything significant with those 2 spots. And I think the Kings still do need some forward depth. They definitely need some power forward depth 100%. And I don't know if they're going to get it done, because to me, it just across the board feels like everything's going to be quiet. And I feel like once the Olympics start and guys are actually playing basketball, I don't think any deals are going to happen when guys are playing. So I probably am right there with you, where I think we're all going to be really frustrated here in about a month or so.
Go get Matisse Thybulle. Just go.
Yeah,
he's not playing for Australia.
He sure isn't. Yeah, that's a great point.
Go get somebody. Yeah. William, we see you. We will get to you on the other side right when we come back. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.